Shalom, shalom. Want to give our honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, bro Aliyah with his servants. Back at it again with another video through the Spirit. Right, so this is a quick video, nothing long. Pentecost is almost here. Don't come empty-handed. Right, so Pentecost is like almost a day away. Right, so you want to make sure that you're not coming empty-handed. Right, and I'm just gonna get some precepts real fast in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16. I'm gonna start at verse 9. Well, I'm gonna go chiefly to the point. Right? It says, verse 16, it says, 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, right? In the feast of weeks, right? In the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before the Lord empty. Right? So Feast of Weeks is another name for Pentecost, right? You don't want to appear before the Lord empty, right? So it's twofold. For one, you don't want to come right to the thing and you ain't bringing nothing. You ain't bring no food. You ain't bring nothing. You ain't bring no drinks, plates, nothing. Right? You want to have something in hand, right? And then a lot of times when those men came to Jerusalem, right, they brought sacrifice to the Lord, right? So being that we're not able to go to Jerusalem, bring sacrifice to the Lord, there are other things that you could bring forth to the Lord spiritually. Understand there's a spiritual sacrifice that you could bring forth, right? Because that's when you have the fruits of the Spirit, right? The first fruits. When you go into Pentecost, right, it's really a harvest time, right? That's what it is, a harvest time. It's the first harvest of the year. So when Passover came, after Passover ended, you're supposed to have something growing, something flourishing, some seeds planted, right? That's what you're supposed to have, right? So by the time Pentecost comes, right, the first harvest, you have something to bring to the Lord, right? So you don't want to come empty-handed, chiefly in the spirit, right? A lot of people going to be coming, and I say a lot of people, but there will be some people that will come empty-handed in the spirit, and that's not right, right? You want to make sure you have something to show forth in the spirit, right? Since the time of Passover, right? A lot of people, when Passover happens, they get that. Oh, I got to get right for Passover, my spirit right for Passover. But you got to continue keeping your spirit right, even throughout the year, every day, right? And so that next big high holiday is Pentecost. So you want to have something, some type of fruit to bring forth to the Lord, right? I'm gonna get another precept, right, in Matthew 21, because you don't want to be like that that barren fruit, right? That didn't have any fruit, right? And the Lord ended up cursing that fruit, right? So let me share my screen. I forgot. Share my screen real fast. All right. So this quick precept right here. This is Matthew 28 and verse 8, 21 and verse 18. Now in the morning, as he returned into the city, he hungered, right? And when he saw a fig tree in the way, he came to it and found nothing thereon, but leaves only, right? And he said unto it, let no fruit grow on thee henceforward forever. And presently the fig tree withered away, right? So now when you keep reading, it's going about saying basically, if you got faith in the Lord, you can have the same power to make that tree do that. But let's pay attention to what happened, right? The Lord came to get some fruit from the tree, right? But the tree bear no fruit. And you don't want to be like that tree that when you come to the Lord before the Lord, you have no fruit to bring forth. And what fruit can you bring forth? The different fruits he gave. He gave us the fruits of the Spirit, right? Utilizing the fruits of the Spirit. That's how you bring forth good fruit, right? Treating your brother right, repenting, having faith, helping build the ministry, right? These are good fruits, right? Being sincere, being diligent, not being a hypocrite. These are good fruits, right? I'm gonna get the quick precept in Galatians, right, 5:22. So when you come before the Lord, right, this feast, this mighty feast day that we got coming up, you want to come before the Lord, saying empty. Of course, the carnal part, right, as in bringing something, but also the spiritual part. Let's focus keen in on the spiritual part, right? Galatians 5:22, right? It says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law, right? So these are the fruits of the Spirit. These are the good fruits, right, that you want to have hanging on your tree, right? And a lot of times, I thought my screen was sharing. And a lot of times when you think about it, on a scientific level, right? In order for a tree to grow, the tree have to have nutrients. The tree have to have water. The tree have to have sunlight. These are things to make that cause the tree to grow, right? The roots to grow deep, right? Therefore, when the roots grow deep, they can absorb lots of water, right? And that water that they're absorbing, right? They use that water and the nutrients that's in the soil. It all works together to grow mighty and beautiful fruit, right? Ripe fruit, right? But when you ain't got no fruit to show forth, what's that mean? You're not really deeply rooted in the truth, right? You're not really drinking of that water, right? That spiritual water, right? That the Lord has bestowed upon us, right? You're not taking that spiritual water, right? Let me get this in Sirach 1 and 5. All right, Sirach 1 and 5. Sirach 1 and verse 5. Bear with me. Okay, hold on. Let me pull up. Yeah, there we go. Sirach 1 and 5. And it reads, Book of Sirach, chapter 1, verse 5. And it says, Salakia. It's not, bear with me. Bear with me. I'm trying to find this precept that had kind of locked in here. But it said it was a precept that's going and saying basically that wisdom is a fountain. Let me make sure it's not Wisdom Solomon 1 and 5. Make sure. No, that's not it. So, anyways, it's basically saying that wisdom, again, I'll get a precept in the book of Psalms. Since I can't find that one, I'm going to go to the book of Psalms. We're basically saying the same thing, right? Book of Psalms, chapter 1 and 5. Chapter 1. Go Psalms, chapter 1. Right. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 1. And I'm going to start at verse 3. It says, he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth fruit, his fruit in his season, his leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. So, and when you read up in the passage, right, it's basically talking about a man that's not walking in the counsel of the ungodly. He's not standing in the way of the sinners. He's delighting the law of the Lord, right? He's meditating on the law day and night. These things, right? When you do things like this, you're like a tree that's planted by a river, right? And it's bringing forth good fruit in a time and season. That's ripe fruit, right? Because ripe fruit must be eaten in the right season when it's ripe, right? And it says his leaf also shall not wither, right? So with that being said, throughout your walk, right, not just preparing for feast days, but every day you want to make sure that you're bearing good fruit. And the way that you bear good fruit is by delighting in the law and meditating in the law day and night, right? And I just want to, it's not a long class or nothing like that, but just a quick exhortation to promote brothers and sisters to have something to bring forth, right? This is exactly what I was looking for. The thing wasn't showing up. But anyway, this is the precept that I was trying to get, but it wasn't showing up. It says the word of God Most High is the fountain of wisdom, and her ways are everlasting commandments, right? So being that the words of the Most High is a fountain of wisdom, right? By you soaking in that fountain of wisdom, right? These words of Yahweh Shem Shah, right? Thus you'll be able to grow and to flourish in this truth. And thus, when you're growing and flourishing in truth, you bring forth righteous fruit, good fruit, right? Pursuant to these precepts that I'm bringing out, right? And understand this, again, Pentecost is here, right? If you don't have nothing to bring forth spiritually, right, now's the time in to hone in, because there's another harvest coming, right? The Feast of Tabernacles, that's the next big harvest that's coming, right? So you want to make sure you have something, and that's a next. Well, they do have a summer harvest as well. They have a summer harvest. Our forefathers did have a summer harvest, but the biggest one, the summer harvest kind of, but the next biggest one would be the Feast of Tabernacles harvest, because there'll be a lot of crops and things like that. So with that being said, you want to make sure, even for the summer harvest, that you're constantly growing in the fruit, that you're constantly bearing good fruit, because you don't want to be like that tree that's barren and not bringing forth any good fruit, right? And then the Lord end up, by you not bringing forth any fruit at all, the Lord end up curse you or take you out this truth, to where now you can't bring forth no fruit at all, right? Because Lord done took you out this thing, right? But I just want to bring out a quick little exhortation through the Spirit, right? To just exhort brothers and sisters, and then make sure that you're not coming up to this thing empty-handed. That you got some good fruit, something going on, right? You bringing forth something to the Lord, right? Hey, you repenting for something. It's something that you can bring to the Lord, right? Don't show up empty-handed to the Lord's Pentecost, right? So, Lord willing, that was edifying. Just a quick little video through the Spirit, though. But I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Shem Shai. Shalom.